او کیست که امید ما بود در لحظات، او نیست به جز نبی خاتم احمد، بر او و جمیع اهل بیتش صلوات. We're going to do this salawat louder, inshallah, in شبهای محرم. One more time, loud salawat, inshallah. Inshallah, we are really learning about Maulana Shamshad Haider last few nights. So whoever missed it, I suggest from now on, inshallah, every night you gather in these things until we have this Maulana here, mashallah, so we can learn every night. So when Maulana is speaking, I want all the people sitting on the floor come a little bit forward here, because if you come forward sitting, some other people can sit in the back, and also we can pay more attention to his speech, inshallah. So we're going to ask Maulana, inshallah, to come for a speech for tonight. If you guys have any question, Maulana, on the end, inshallah, we'll answer your question too. Sometimes people hear something for the first time, maybe. But if you have any doubt or any question, you can ask Maulana, inshallah. So we're going to invite Maulana here with 3 loud salawat, inshallah. Allahumma salli.
Where are all the men?
Coming, inshallah. No late, brother. Okay.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، وصلى الله على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما جعلنا الرؤيا التي أريناك إلا فتنة للناس والشجرة الملعونة في القرآن ونخوفهم فما يزيدهم إلا طغيانا. قال الإمام الحسين عليه السلام: اللهم إنك تعلم أنه لم يكن ما كان منا تنافسا في سلطان ولا التماسا من فضول الحطام، ولكن لنري المعالم من دينك ونظهر الإصلاح في بلادك ويأمن المظلومون من عبادك. Please say the love salawat. Brothers and sisters, your participation is very important for yourself. Your physical, emotional, mental participation, and your presence here, it especially when during the Majlis, which is not a lecture, which is not a classroom, this is a Majlis. There's a difference between a Majlis and a classroom. If someone is thinking he's attending a class, this is not for you. It's not a classroom. This is a Majlis. This is where you, because of your devotion to Imam Hussain, you are here to express your grief and join in the mourning for Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Primarily it is for mourning for Imam Hussain. Ashura is all about the remembrance of a tragedy that shook the skies and the earth, that shook the whole world, that caused so much pain that Prophet and all the prophets before, and all the Aimma after Imam Hussain cried for Imam Hussain very much. So this is where your involvement, emotional presence is very important for this Majlis and for yourself. So I hope that the brothers and sisters who participate in this Majlis this year, whenever, that you are fully involved emotionally, spiritually, and feel the pain and express the pain yourself. Please say salawat. As we mentioned in the nights that we have spent together, that Shaitan and Shayateen, they have spread a whole system to misguide and destroy humanity and take them into hellfire, to create hell in this dunya so that people will land in hellfire in akhirah, in barzakh. So this world, he presents this world as a place of comfort and luxury, a place where you have a beautiful future, you live a life without worries and stress, you live a life without pain and suffering, where with the least amount of effort you get the most benefits in this dunya, and that your goal is to find as much comfort, as much luxury, as much fun and enjoyment as possible. The whole idea of... So when a person grows up thinking in this manner, obviously becomes a very easy fruit for Shaitan, very easy prey. Because Shaitan is trying to exactly do that, to make us prioritize the worldly things, so that we will not be able to earn any good in this dunya. And this dunya actually will become a world full of evil, oppression, and suffering actually. This dunya has become a place of suffering for this reason. We were talking about the culture that Shaitan is trying to promote. A culture based on worldly things, a culture based on hunger for power and control, a culture where everyone is trying to put down the other and get ahead, a competition, a material competition where everyone is trying to get ahead and get the most for himself. A culture that has no empathy, no compassion on anyone, where there's deceit, there's lying, and there's manipulation. There's all kinds of fake things that people fantasize about, and they're drowning in misguidance and ignorance because of that. For example, consumerism. Like some speaker said, you walk into a big mall and you look at all the things, and by the time you head out, you have probably bought a lot of things that you never needed in your life. Maulana was saying, one Maulana somewhere was saying that, in Iran, there are very few places where you can actually ski, So he said, I went to this place and I walked around this mall, and by the time I came out, I was almost at the point of buying myself all the equipment for skiing. And he said, in my whole life, probably there will be one incident where actually everything seems to be in the right place and right time, where you actually can ski. Well, I can easily rent the equipment from someone. So what is this about? This is the culture of Shaitan, where all the things that are unimportant become important. Everything that, for example, just a moment ago was unimportant suddenly becomes something that is indispensable, that is just needed. Wants become needs. And the mind is completely, taken over by those things, hijacked by such attractions, and that the weakness is inside actually. They're only using that, building on what we actually, something's wrong inside us that's causing this to happen. This culture of Shaitan, which he continuously upgrades. So the shaitan does not repeat his tricks again and again. He brings in new. Every time is new things. So in the times of different prophets, we have different manifestations, different ways shaitan was misguiding the people. And people were all impressed by the show of power of Namrud, by all the deceitful things that Fir'aun was doing. And you see in the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, you see that they were basically looking at the power of Fir'aun. And everything had to be physical and had to be seen so you can believe. If something was not visible to the eye, you can't believe it. See, the Musa alayhi salam continuously brought different signs and they would not accept it. Even after he showed his signs that Allah had given him by way of miracle, even then they stood against him. From the first day, the way Allah presented Musa and Fir'aun to Musa and Harun to Fir'aun in that court, that palace, that still apparently stands over there in Egypt, which is still very awe-inspiring that you go and see those huge structures. What would that be in the time when Prophet Musa entered that palace in his very simple clothes, or probably they were rags because they had traveled so much and they had come, Musa and Fir'aun, holding a little staff in their hands and come up to Fir'aun, and what are they saying to Fir'aun? And Fir'aun at the height of his power, right? And glory. And they are saying, if you believe we have been sent by God, and if you believe in Him, right, then we will ensure that you stay in power. Now, Fir'aun is looking around and looking at their state of the clothes they are wearing, and with this old stuff in their hand, the stick, and what are the words coming out of their mouth? And he starts mocking them and making fun of them. Then look at these people, like in today's language, look at these creatures. I mean, what are they talking about? Look at their appearance. Where they don't even have anything to do with the surrounding, like we are. So he basically, this was a test for the pride and arrogance of Fir'aun. To present two of his best people, Allah presented Musa and Harun in the simplest form. And that's where the test is. Allah always tests us in things that we seem to minimize. We think to give very little value to that. Allah will test it right there. Someone has a racist attitude, Allah will test him right there. Someone thinks very highly about his gender, that's where Allah will test him. Someone thinks very highly of his profession, thinks highly of his looks, something highly about something, that's exactly where the test will come. Anything that you are proud of, Allah will test you right there in the weakest moment. You will realize that, how wrong you were all this time. That's how the test goes. So if Fir'aun at the height of his power is tested by the same glory and power that he seemed to be very proud of. And then, Bani Israel had the same weakness. It was not just Fir'aun. Musa alayhi salam led the people, and they kept breaking their promises. They would promise Musa because Musa alayhi salam started showing them signs. So every time they felt threatened or cornered, they would promise Musa alayhi salam, this time you pray to your God to save us, and then we will let you take the Bani Israel out of this place. And Musa alayhi salam will pray, and then that azab was gone, and another time they would break their promise. Finally, the time came where Musa alayhi salam asked the people to come out. There was a mass exodus. People came out of the city, started marching behind Musa towards. Now they don't know where they're going. Now the GPS that Musa alayhi salam has, Allah has installed, it's being run by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. So the destination has been set, programmed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he's just following the tracks. He's following that destination. So they're all looking, where are we going, where are we going? Suddenly they find themselves at the coast of a sea. They said, Musa, are you sure we should be? This is where we should be? Because it's not a river, this is a sea. We can't really cross it. There's no way. He said, but Allah has told me to go. But just because Allah told you, it doesn't mean you listen. That's what they started saying, telling Musa alayhi salam. We should not be here. Maybe there's something wrong. No. Then they started accusing him. They started, doing all the wrong shirk and kufr. Your God put us in trouble. Musa, we were in trouble before you came, and now you put us in a bigger trouble. And Musa alayhi salam said, Inna ma'iya rabbi sayahdeen. With me is my Lord who will guide me. And then some voice comes and Musa says, Musa, you have something in your hand with that stick. Okay, why don't you throw it? Throw it. He just threw this, and then suddenly the sea opened. How does that happen? This doesn't make any sense. But it happened. In the Old Testament also, someone might say, okay, this book is not very authentic. Well, Quran is right there. Mentions it a number of times. And Musa alayhi salam, with his people, he crossed that channel, made through the water to the other side. There's a lot of history there. But anyway, these people, so Pharaoh's forces came inside and they drowned. You see, these people, Bani Israel, again, they asked to Musa alayhi salam to build some kind of idols for them. And so they had seen such huge signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They didn't continued same course. Musa alayhi salam, Allah said, Musa, come, we want to speak to you. So he said, okay, let me bring a new program against this program of shaitan, this culture of Iblis. Let me bring a whole program to install, so that this world, this community will be established along the divine guidelines and values. So he goes to the tour, to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He promised them 30 days. Allah works in strange ways, 30 days came down, Allah said, Musa, we want you to stay. He said, well, in today's language, well, thank you very much. My people are waiting for me. No, Musa, we want you to stay another 10 days. I have a lot of patience. I am the Lord. I have a lot of patience. No rush. I want them to grow. I want them to grow. Let there be a test. And then Musa alayhi salam stayed another 10 days. That's where everything went wrong. The whole nation turned towards Samiri, who had taken something from the feet of Musa, some dust, and put it on the... So Bani Israel loved gold very much. They had a lot of gold. So they put together this whole golden calf, and then he sprinkled some dust over it and started growing hair on it. And said, whoa, this is real God. And then he blew into it or something, and this voice started, some kind of sound started coming out of there. Everybody fell in prostration. So every time shaitan plays a new trick, it never repeats itself. No one should think that shaitan, is going to try the same trick again. And Musa alayhi salam came back and saw his people in that state. Now, I don't want to be distracted. This is the Holy Quran speaks about a cursed tree, which is Bani Umayyah. Bani Umayyah is the cursed tree in Islam. The deviation of shaitan, deception of shaitan continued over history, right? During the time of Isa alayhi salam, it was something else. It was, like I mentioned, science, medicine. You see, even the beginning of the mission of Isa alayhi salam, it'll take us just a few minutes, was very strange. Okay, Maryam Salamullah bring this newborn, and she says, no human has touched me. No man has touched me. First they tried to accuse her. Okay, where did you get this child? She's so silent, she's quiet. She points to them when I'm fasting. Now fasting in those time meant you don't speak. Fasting of speech. So you say, okay, so you're fasting, you're trying to deceive us, and then now this is the time for you to fast. So then when that happened, Allah told Maryam to point, to ask, let them speak to the newborn. They started laughing. How's that? This is the newborn. How can he speak? And then suddenly this child speaks up. You see, Allah is breaking all their assumptions, challenging everything they believed in. That a child is born from a mother and father. Okay, here's a child born without a father. So they have to accuse her. Allah proves them wrong right there. And then one by one, and this child speaks to defend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his faith, and his mother, her chastity, right? This is such humbling ayat of Quran that when you read it, you say, oh my God. Just for barakat, recite وَإِذْ قَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ يَا مَرْيَمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَاكِ وَطَهَّرَكِ. When angels were speaking to Mary and were saying, surely Allah has chosen you, O Mary, وَطَهَّرَكِ, and purified you, وَاصْطَفَاكِ عَلَى نِسَاءِ الْعَالَمِينَ, chosen you over the women of the universe. Ya Maryam, and the women of her time, in the tafsir, Ya Maryam uqnuti li rabbiki wasjudi warka'i ma'as sajidin. O Maryam, pray to humble yourself for your Lord. Wasjudi, perform sajda, warka'i, bow with those who bow in their prayer. Which in the hadith we find that Maryam was actually praying with the angels, with the awliya in Malakut. She was in a different realm. ذَلِكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الْغَيْبِ نُوحِيهِ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا كُنْتَ لَدَيْهِمْ إِذْ يُلْقُونَ أَقْلَامَهُم. And it keeps going on and on until you know how Allah praises Maryam Salamullah alayha. And Isa alayhi salam, born from such a mother. So, and then the time came after Isa alayhi salam, it's 400-500 years passed. So, as I was mentioning earlier, Shaitan has brought all his resources out in the field. All his cavalry and infantry, right? And surrounded us, besieged us, humanity. And his shayateen are like blood flowing in our veins. They're not outside of us, they're right inside, using any and every weakness we have against us. Anything. Love of this dunya at the core of this, right? Self-love, too much of that, right? All of that. Anything that we are proud of, Allah, Shaitan can use against us. And see all these things in the past, plus, God knows, countless other deceitful tricks that Iblis brought to deceive humanity at the point of demise of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Fake religious traditions, fake interpretations of ayat of Quran, all the fabrications they did. Right there, somebody stands and said, well, Rasulullah said, I am not leaving behind any inheritance. Where did that come from? Suddenly they present 50 people, witnesses to prove that, well, Rasulullah said, I am not leaving behind any. So they took fadak from Bibi Sayyidah Fatima. You know. But they said, okay, Rasulullah said, I'm not appointing any successor after me. Suddenly there are 14 people standing as witnesses. We heard the Rasulullah said he did not appoint any successor. Everything they have something to show. Fake evidence, proofs, witnesses, everything you can count in the court of law, you've got it right there, ready to use. They had been preparing for 20 years. Love is not enough. Got to be organized. The community was not organized. They thought it's going to happen. 140,000 people heard the sermon of Rasul Akram in Ghadir. Not prepared. 2 months passed. Those 20 people were more organized than these 140,000 people. They took over everything. They took the destiny of Muslims in their hands. To this day, the whole world of Islam is living in total ignorance because of that. That there is no response. When the people of Gaza cry out, there is not a single word to be heard. Not a single reply. Right? Except for those who follow the path of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. In the khutbah of Sayyid al-Shuhada in Mina, which I was mentioned last night, In the end of this khutbah, Imam mentioned this. Allahumma innaka ta'lam. Oh Allah, you know. You know it very well. Annahu lam yakun minna ma kan. That whatever I have done so far, right? Ma kana minna tanafusan fi sultan. Not out of greed for power. Walaltimasan min fudul al-hutam. Nor was I seeking money or some kind of fortune out of this effort. Walakin linuri al-ma'alim min dinik. I just wanted to bring out the beautiful treasures of knowledge in this religion of my grandfather, Rasul Akram. وَنُظْهِرَ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي بِلَادِكَ. Bring reform in your cities. There must be justice. There must be reform. There must be a culture which promotes justice. People who crave for justice and stand up for it. Quran advised people to do amr bil ma'ruf, not just show devotion. No, they must enjoin the good and forbid the evil. They must stand in the face of people like Yazid and tell him and stop him from what he is doing, right? That is the task of Islam. وَنُصِرَ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي بِلَادِكَ وَيَأْمَنُ الْمَظْلُومُونَ مِنْ عِبَادِكَ. To provide safety to the oppressed. وَيَعْمَلْ بِفَرَائِضِكَ. So that people, me and all the people will act upon your obligation, something that you have required us to do. وَسُنَّتِكَ وَأَحْكَامِكَ. فَإِنَّكُمْ. Then Imam Hussain is speaking to an audience of 1,000 scholars. This is about 2 years, right? 2 years before Muawiyah died. Imam Hussain had gathered around 1,000 people, top scholars and tabi'een in Mina. At the time of Hajj, Imam Hussain had invited all these people in a large camp. Imam Hussain is speaking to them. In the end, he said, فَإِنَّكُمْ إِن لَا تَنْصُرُونَ. Surely, if you all do not assist me in this mission, وَتَنْصِفُونَ, and do not even consider me your equal. This is so painful to hear these words, like, yeah, at least if you don't consider me as Imam, at least understand that I'm one of you, that your responsibility and mine is at least equal, that you at least should, me, at least you and I together, we should try to safeguard what we have received from our Prophet, right? If we don't do that, what will happen? قَوِيَّةُ الظَّلَمَةُ عَلَيْنَا. These arrogant rulers will get stronger and stronger. وَعَمِلُوا فِي إِطْفَاءِ نُورِ نَبِيِّكُمْ. And they will work hard and they will use every means available to turn off the light of your Prophet. Nurullah. Nurul Anwar I mentioned earlier. The Nurul Anwar is the personality of Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ. Quranic verses. They are trying to put out the light, Nur Allah, the light of Allah, بِأَفْوَاهِمْ, by blowing into the candle. Like a candle is lighting, you blow into that. They think the light of Allah is like a candle. They blow and it will extinguish, right? يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِمْ وَلَكِنْ أَبَى اللَّهَ أَن يُتِمَّ نُورَهُ إِلَّا أَن يُتِمَّ نُورَهُ. Walakin Allah has decided to increase His light, not to let it extinguish. It will not die. This light of Allah will continue to get stronger and brighter. That's what Allah has decided. But they believe that they will do that. But again, this is a world of asbab. This is where Allah is not going to do it out of a miracle. No, it's going to be you all. It's going to be we, us, who are going to make sure that then Allah's help will come. And if we don't, the whole world will be destroyed, including us, and everyone will go to hell in the end. So there's got to be cause and effect. There's got to be people getting involved and doing things, and Allah's help coming. And Allah works in mysterious ways. Smallest thing, like a staff of Musa alayhi salam can stop the flow of water in an ocean, in a sea, right? A mosquito can come and kill Namrud at the height of his power. Allah works in His own ways. He's not going to follow our rules. He will challenge our rules. Any assumptions that we have about this nature, about this world, Allah is going to bring a new paradigm, a new set of laws. Allah tests people in different ways. And especially when we are talking about awliya of Allah, the test is completely different, out of ordinary. For example, the test of Ibrahim al-Khalil to go and slaughter his son, in which faith, in which legal system, in which religion in the past was it allowed for a father to go and slaughter his son? Something miraculous. The order itself is mind-boggling. How does that happen? Allah tests people, His awliya is a different level and the ordinary and the people in a different way. That they must believe that no power supersedes the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please cite a salawat. وحسبنا الله وعليه توكلنا وإليه أنبنا وإليه المصير. So every time, so when this, now we are talking about the age of Holy Prophet and after. Shaitan brought out all its forces, everything, you see. Now, let me point, well, we had this point just a few minutes. If you look at the books of hadith, you will find strange things in the books of hadith of our Sunni brothers. So at one point they say, okay, these 4 and 5 people in the time of Holy Prophet collected the Quran. Then they say, okay, Quran was not collected until the time of the first Khalifa. He ordered that Quran be collected and compiled in a book. Then another part of Bukhari and Muslim says, okay, Quran was not collected until the time of the second Khalifa, and he ordered that he cared more about Quran than Rasulullah Akram. He saw that people did not have a book in their hands, and these ayat and verses of Quran are floating around, and people in the skins or bones and all kinds of things and scattered all over. And he said, okay, let Quran be compiled and collected now. And then somebody brings a piece of bone and says, okay, it's written on it is ayat of Quran. He said, you got any witness? He said, yeah, this so and so XYZ is my witness that Rasulullah actually. Can you imagine such a thing? What is this? And then another part of the revelation, these collections of hadith says, okay, Quran was not collected until the time of the third Khalifa. MashaAllah. 20 years passed after Rasulullah Akram, or 17 years passed, and people still don't have Quran. And I said, okay, he cared so much about this divine revelation, he said, collect all these books. And then the strange thing is, they say, okay, Quran actually, I'm just giving an example of what Shaitan has done to these people, right? They say Quran was actually revealed in 7 different ways. That means Quran could be recited in 7 ways, and 7 could mean 70, and 700, and 7,000. So Quran was not a book that was revealed in one way, with one script, to be recited in one way. Instead, the Quran could be read in several different ways. So there is no commitment to reading Quran in one single way. Well, that's very strange. Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna nahnu nazzalna dhikr wa inna lahu lahafidhun. First of all, Allah said, I have revealed my book and I am the guardian of this book. Not Khalifa Awwal, not Khalifa Thani, not Khalifa Thalith. And here they say, no, Allah did not do nothing. Khalifa Duhum, Khalifa Sevum collected the Quran, all of a sudden. And then another strange thing. So 7 versions of this book, and suddenly he orders that 6 of these versions should be burnt, set fire on. So he burnt 6 versions of Quran and decided this one is going to be the real Quran from today. So we are talking about 18 or 19 years after Rasulullah Akram, and this so-called Khalifa is suddenly ordering that this is going to be the Quran from now on, and those 6 other copies are all fake. So I'm talking about deceit of Shaitan. It is coming in this strange forms. You look at these books of hadith, you say, what? What are we doing here? Rasulullah Akram sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he collected the Quran in his time because he said, Inni tarikun fikum al-thaqalain. I'm leaving behind 2 important things for you. Kitab Allah, Hada, this book of Allah. It's right here, present, compiled, ready. Wa itrati ahl bayti, and my progeny, right? My ahl bayt. Ma in tamassaktum bihima, if you stick to these 2, lan tadhillu min ba'di abada. Wa innahuma lan yatafarraqa hatta yarida alayya al-hawz. If you stick to these 2, and then he said, and they will not be separated from each other. So if you leave Ahlul Bayt, you don't have Quran either. No one can say, I have Quran, we all follow Quran, right, only. No. If you have Quran only, then you have actually nothing. You have nothing. Even your claim to be a Muslim is fake. Because Quran doesn't speak for itself. Quran is not a person who has a tongue and can speak and explain and defend itself and explain itself. Quran needs, لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ. Allah said to Holy Prophet, this will reveal to you so that you will explain to the people what Allah has revealed to them. Allah has revealed for the people, but you, the Prophet, must explain to the people what this book is saying, not the people to explain for themselves. And not this book to explain itself to people, no. You, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, must explain, right? Besides this is another deceit of shaitan. And even one of these traps was enough for a whole community to be misguided. Right? I don't know, there are tons of such things, traps after traps, one trap after another. You fall and if you survive one, the next one is laid right there for you. You survive the next trap, another one is right there. And the Shajaratul, I was reading this ayat of Quran, وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الرُّؤْيَا, in the last year, very last few months of Holy Prophet, he saw a dream. He saw a dream that monkeys had climbed over the pulpit. The pulpit of Rasulullah. Monkeys were jumping up and down and dancing over his pulpit, Rasulullah's pulpit. He was very sad when he saw that dream, and he knew what that meant. He saw Bani Umayyah dancing on his mimbar. That's why the Prophet has said to the people of Medina, when you see Bani Umayyah on my mimbar, then stand up and slice their stomach. Slice their bellies. Don't let them sit on my mimbar. He did not listen to it. So many traps that the word of Holy Prophet got lost in this noise, all this chaos. وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الرُّؤْيَا, we made you, O Prophet, see this dream as a test for the people, so that you will tell the people and warn them that there's going to be problems after me, a lot of darkness. وَالشَّجَرَةَ, so that the people will recognize وَالشَّجَرَةَ الْمَلْعُونَ, the cursed tree, which Quran is mentioning. This is the cursed tree. This is a shajara tayyiba and there is a shajara khabisa in the Holy Quran, which is Ali Umayyah, which continue to misguide the Muslims till this day, right? وَنُخَوِّفُ, we are warning them, making them aware. But what is the result of that? فَمَا يَزِيدُهُمْ إِلَّا طُغْيَانًا كَبِيرًا. They get even more arrogant when they hear Quran saying that there's a cursed tree and that the Prophet's member will be hijacked by people who were undeserving and who are misguided and who are corrupt and mischievous, that they get even more astray. How could you challenge the authority of XYZ? How could you challenge the authority of Ali Abu Sufyan? And falsely connect such criminals with the Awlad Ibrahim. Bani Umayyah have nothing to do with Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. This is complete fabrication and lie to claim that Bani Umayyah was the descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam. No way. No way. And this is evident in the writings of Maulana Ali and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, that these are all a cursed tree. And they represent the shaitan. They go back to the same evil tree which continued from the time of Adam alayhi salam to the time of Nuh and Ibrahim and Musa and Isa and down to the time of Holy Prophet of Islam. Misguidance, ignorance continued. Against when there is need for awareness, insight, and people do not come to the door of Ahlul Bayt, then you have a situation. Yazid is at the point of taking complete control over the fate of Islam, because this has happened in history. Judaism has suffered this. Christianity has suffered this. Why not Islam? Islam is just like any other faith that came before. The only difference is that the Holy Prophet has appointed the responsibility to lead his nation after him in the form of Maulana Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. So obviously, people's responsibility is to support Ali. When they don't, well, in the time of Maulana Ali, in the major part of his Khilafat, he had supporters, so he was able to stand in the face of the Shajarat al-Mal'una. But then the very last year of his Khilafat, the situation changed. So many people had been killed. People did not, he warned them that if you don't support me, your future is bleak, future is very dark. Iraq would be taken over by Ali Abu Sufyan. And then they hated Ali Abu Sufyan. The Iraqis knew the curse and the danger because they had seen the time of, those people before Maulana Ali, how the Bani Umayyah, what they had done in Kufa, what they had done in Sham. The Iraqis were very aware of that. But many of them had become shaheed now. Another 20 years passed. People like Hajjaj ibn Yusuf massacred the Shia in Kufa and other places. Some say up to 12,000 Shias were beheaded in the city of Kufa. Many Shias were sent into exile to die on the battlefields. Many were killed in the dungeons, the prisons, and other places. We don't even have those right numbers. All of that has happened. Time of Karbala comes. Kufa is the center of Tashayyu, but Kufa has paid a heavy price. So the few Shia that remained, they write to Imam Hussain, and they promised their support, and actually they lived up to their promise, those few Shias. The rest was all the population, the people who wrote their letters, they didn't mean what they were saying. They didn't even know what they were saying. The Shias who wrote the letters first, they came to Karbala with Imam Hussain. Habib came, Muslim ibn Awsaja. Almost all the Ansar of Ashab of Imam Hussain who died, the names you find in Ziyarat Nama, right? Most of them came from Kufa. Few came from Basra, probably some came from Atraf, from areas. But the primary responsibility fell on the children of Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain who has Imam Hussain? Imam Hussain has Ali al-Akbar. Imam Hussain got Qasim, Imam Hussain got few. And when you look at history, you see the children of Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil had 4 sons, 2 of them died in Karbala, 2 of them died in Kufa. Beheaded. Brutally killed. So shocking that, that Ubaidullah bin Ziyad, when he saw these 2 heads brought to him, he said, this innocent, beautiful faces, why did you kill them? He said, you ordered us to find them and bring them, so I wanted your reward from them. And this is the price. Now the Ummah is not willing to take responsibility. Islam is saved by Hussain ibn Ali and the children of Hussain ibn Ali, the women of the household of Rasulullah, to become prisoners, usara, and be taken from one city to another, 40 cities, until they arrive in Sham. This is the sacrifice given by Ahlul Bayt. Do we remember Janab Qasim? Imam Hassan alayhi salam, when he died, Qasim was 2 years old. 12 years passed, apparently, until Qasim found himself in Karbala, and he's seeing everyone going away. One by one, all the companions are going, Ansar of the Shuhada. He sees his brothers one by one go. Ali al-Akbar is gone. And he comes to Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and he begs Imam Hussain alayhi salam to let him go and fight. Imam Hussain looked at Qasim, saw his brother in his face. He saw Hassan Mustafa. So they embraced each other. Writer, the Hamid the Muslim writes that I saw them in each other's arms, crying, and suddenly they both fell unconscious. What Qasim felt in the arms of his uncle, his father, after 12 years of losing his dad. What did Hussain find in Qasim, his brother Hassan Mustafa? This is a pure family, Shajara Tayyiba. They smell of paradise. They smell of their mother Fatima. They smell of their grandfather, the Holy Prophet. They smell of all the prophets of Allah. This is a fruit of paradise. Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he wakes up. He says, give me the permission. Imam Hussain alayhi salam could not. Hassan Mustafa, Qasim ibn Hassan goes back in his tent, finds a small writing of his father given to Qasim according to reports. He brings back. Imam Hussain sees his brother's writing and starts crying. Kisses is writing. That was the last days of Hassan and Mustafa. He remembered old days, you see, when Hassan and Hussein used to be in each other's arms crying because their mother had died. The body of Fatima is lying over there, and Imam Ali is saying to his children, don't cry aloud, they will hear your crying. And they will ridicule, and they will feel happier and rejoice over their crimes and that they killed Fatima and they made us suffer. Do not cry in loud voice. And Hassan and Hussein have got their sleeves in their teeth and not being able to cry. Hussein is remembering Hassan on that little alley when Fatima, after waking up, she asked for Ali. Where is Ali? They said, Ali, oh, they have taken him in ropes to the masjid. And Hassan is with his mother. And Fatima wakes up, starts walking in that condition to the masjid, and Fatima finds herself where she looks at Ali with sword over his head. They are threatening to kill Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. And Fatima comes up to Ali and she says to these people, let Abul Hassan go. If you do not, I will go to the grave of my father and uncover my head and curse you all and pray for the wrath of Allah to come down. As Fatima was uttering these words, the walls started shaking in Medina. They knew who Fatima was. Hassan and Imam Hussein is remembering those times, all their childhood, the times at night when Maulana Ali used to make them sleep, and they would not sleep. They would act like they're sleeping. They were crying in their beds without their mother. And Ali would go to the grave of Fatima, shed his tears about Fatima. Remember all that. Now, looking at this writing of Hassan, Imam Hussein gives permission. Qasim goes and fights courageously. Muntakhab Turehi, in other books, have written Qasim fought very hard. And this Shami Pahlawan, when he saw Qasim at the order of Umar ibn Sa'd, he sent his youngest son, he will finish him off. Qasim killed his youngest son and the next one and the next one and the next one. Then Azraq came out himself. How do you leave after killing my 4 sons? Qasim looks at the height of this person on this huge horse, and Qasim courageously goes and fights him. The details are in history. But when he's about to fight, Imam Hussein is worried about his nephew, because he knows Qasim has exhausted his energy after fighting 4 champions, and he's thirsty for 3 days. After killing Azraq, he comes back. Imam Hussein, he says, uncle, can I have a little bit of water? Just like Ali Akbar Qasim, Imam Hussein gave his ring in his mouth. Then he went inside, said goodbye to his mother, and went again to the battlefield in that condition, because the enemies had closed in and they were threatening to attack the tents. Qasim could not see that happen. He went back and he fought until they shot him with arrows. They threw so many stones at him, he couldn't stay on his horse. He cried out, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Imam Hussein arrived on the scene. He saw the horses that trampled all over. And it was very hard for him to see the condition of Qasim. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا وَأَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين واخذل الكفار والمنافقين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين.
Jazakallah khairan Maulana, for Maulana health and his family. Loud salawat inshallah.